Let's talk about what makes a woman stunning. Not the filters, not the trends. I mean the kind of stunning that makes people remember you. Confidence without arrogance. It's one of those traits that can change how people see you before you even say a word. It's not loud, it doesn't demand attention, and it never has to prove itself. Real confidence shows up quietly but powerfully. It's in your posture, your tone, your decisions, your ability to stand in a room and not shrink to make others feel comfortable. It's knowing that you don't have to overcompensate because your presence already speaks for you. When you walk with that kind of energy, people feel it. They can't always describe it, but they sense the strength. The stunning woman doesn't chase approval, she radiates assurance. She's grounded, not because she thinks she's better, but because she knows she's enough. Confidence like that doesn't come from compliments or validation. It's built in quiet moments when no one's watching. It's built when you keep a promise to yourself, when you face something hard and don't quit, when you choose integrity over convenience. That's the real foundation. A confident woman doesn't need to announce her achievements because her actions already do. She doesn't need to explain her worth to anyone because she's already convinced of it. This kind of self-belief doesn't scream for attention, it earns respect. The difference between arrogance and confidence is simple. Arrogance looks down, confidence looks forward. One competes, the other grows. One demands to be seen, the other simply is. Confidence without arrogance is magnetic because it's rare. People are drawn to someone who is secure in herself, but still humble enough to listen, learn, and connect. The stunning woman doesn't walk into a room thinking, I'm better than everyone here. She walks in thinking, I belong here just like everyone else. That's the quiet power, the balance between strength and softness. It's not about proving yourself, it's about being yourself. The confident woman makes others feel seen, not small. She's not threatened by another woman's success, beauty, or presence. She celebrates it because she understands someone else shining doesn't dim her own light. In fact, she knows that true confidence multiplies when shared. This kind of confidence also shows in how she handles criticism and rejection. She doesn't crumble when someone disagrees with her, and she doesn't lose herself trying to please everyone. She listens, she evaluates, but she doesn't let opinions define her because she knows that not everyone will understand her, and that's okay. Confidence without arrogance allows her to stand tall without pushing others down. It gives her the strength to apologize when she's wrong and the humility to keep learning. She doesn't measure her value by how loud she is, how perfect she looks, or how much approval she gets. She measures it by how consistent she is with her values, even when no one's clapping. That's what makes her powerful, and that's what makes her unforgettable. When a woman carries that kind of confidence, it shifts the atmosphere around her. People notice her not because she's trying to impress, but because she's at peace with who she is. She's aware of her strengths and accepts her flaws, and that balance makes her magnetic. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent. She's not performing, she's present. Confidence without arrogance is grace wrapped in strength. It's the calm assurance that you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. It's not about dominance, it's about presence. It's a kind of beauty that doesn't fade, doesn't need to be compared, and doesn't have to be explained. Kindness with boundaries is the quiet strength that separates genuine compassion from self-sacrifice. It's the ability to care deeply without losing yourself in the process. A stunning woman knows that kindness is not weakness. It's a choice, a power, a discipline. She can offer empathy and still protect her peace. She can listen, help, and uplift others, but she never lets her generosity become a doorway for people to take advantage of her. That's what makes her presence so grounded. Her kindness isn't performative or driven by a need to be liked. It's authentic. It comes from understanding her own value and recognizing that love, patience, and respect mean more when they're given freely, not out of fear or obligation. The woman who practices kindness with boundaries understands that not everyone deserves access to her energy. She can be kind without saying yes to everything. She knows when to give, but also when to step back. She realizes that protecting her time, her emotions, and her space isn't selfish. It's essential. People often confuse being kind with being a doormat, but they couldn't be more wrong. Real kindness isn't about always accommodating others. It's about showing compassion in a way that doesn't cost you your peace. The stunning woman knows that her peace is priceless. She doesn't bend herself backward to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Instead, she leads with respect. For others, yes, but first for herself. Kindness with boundaries shows in how she communicates. She speaks with honesty, not sugarcoating to avoid discomfort, yet never cruel or cutting. Her words are measured, soft enough to build bridges, firm enough to draw lines. She doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard. Her clarity commands attention. When she says no, it's not cold or defensive. It's confident. It's calm. It's an expression of self-respect, not rejection. She knows that her boundaries aren't walls. They're doors that she chooses when to open. People trust her because her kindness is consistent and her limits are clear. There's no manipulation, no guilt, just authenticity. And that's rare. A stunning woman who embodies kindness with boundaries doesn't let guilt dictate her decisions. She understands that she can care deeply without carrying someone else's emotional load. She can love people and still walk away from situations that drain her. She can offer forgiveness without allowing the same hurt to repeat itself. This strength comes from self-awareness, from knowing that you can't pour from an empty cup, so she fills hers intentionally, through rest, through reflection, through saying no when her heart says she's had enough. She values peace over pleasing, and in doing so, she models what real emotional maturity looks like. The beauty of kindness with boundaries is that it makes her presence sustainable. She doesn't burn out from giving too much, and she doesn't harden her heart to protect herself. She finds the middle ground, the space where empathy and strength coexist. People feel safe around her because she's steady, not swayed by chaos or manipulation. Her kindness isn't conditional, but it is intentional. It comes from a place of choice, not compulsion. She doesn't need validation for it, and she doesn't seek reward. Her compassion is her power, her boundaries are her armor, and together they form a quiet kind of authority that commands both respect and admiration. Purpose in her actions is what gives a stunning woman direction, clarity, and power that doesn't rely on external validation. She doesn't drift through life waiting for things to happen. She creates motion through intention. Every step she takes, every decision she makes carries a sense of meaning behind it. She knows that life isn't about being busy. It's about being intentional. She doesn't chase everything that looks shiny or urgent. She chooses what aligns with her values and long-term vision. There's a calm focus in her energy because she moves with purpose, not pressure. She doesn't react to the noise around her. She responds to what truly matters, and that makes her presence different, grounded, deliberate, and impossible to ignore. A woman who acts with purpose understands that her time is valuable, and she treats it that way. She doesn't say yes just to avoid disappointing others. She says yes when it fits the person she's becoming. Her choices aren't random. They're reflections of her priorities. She's not trying to do it all. She's trying to do what matters most. Whether it's her career, relationships, or personal growth, she approaches everything with awareness. When she commits to something, she gives it her full attention because she knows that focus is a form of respect for herself and for what she's building. Even her rest has purpose because she understands that recovery isn't laziness. It's preparation. This kind of discipline gives her life structure and meaning, and people sense that when they're around her. Purpose in her actions also means she's not afraid of failure. She sees it as part of the process, not the end of it. When things don't go her way, she doesn't spiral into doubt. She reflects, learns, and adjusts because her actions come from intention, not impulse. She doesn't need constant reassurance. Her confidence is rooted in clarity. She knows why she's doing what she's doing, and that's what keeps her steady when the results take time. This mindset separates her from those who move out of fear or comparison. She's not chasing someone else's timeline because she's too busy building her own. She understands that progress doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet, lonely, and unseen, but she keeps going because she's driven by purpose, not applause. The stunning woman with purpose in her actions doesn't waste her energy on things that don't serve her growth. She's selective about her conversations, her circle, and her commitments. She's not cold, she's clear. She doesn't allow distractions to pull her off track because she knows where she's headed. She's not trying to impress, she's trying to impact. That's what gives her this magnetic pull. She's not performing, she's aligning. When she speaks, there's weight to her words. When she works, there's meaning behind her effort. Even her smallest decisions reflect who she is at her core. Purpose gives her consistency, and consistency gives her credibility. People trust her not because she's perfect, but because she's intentional. A woman with purpose in her actions radiates a quiet kind of authority. You can see it in the way she carries herself. Not rushed, not uncertain, but anchored. Her energy tells you that she knows who she is and what she stands for. She doesn't chase shortcuts or seek approval for her choices because she's already done the inner work to know why they matter. She's guided by a vision that's bigger than her comfort zone, and that's what makes her unstoppable. Everything she does, from how she speaks to how she shows up for herself, is deliberate. She's not existing by default, she's living by design, and that is what makes her stand out without ever trying to. Authenticity in her words is what gives a stunning woman her undeniable power. It's the quiet confidence that comes from speaking truth without trying to control how others perceive it. She doesn't sugarcoat to please or exaggerate to impress. Her words are a reflection of her integrity, not her insecurities. When she speaks, people listen, not because she's the loudest in the room, but because there's honesty in her tone that can't be faked. She's not performing, she's communicating from a place of self-awareness. Her authenticity builds trust because it's consistent. She says what she means, and she means what she says. In a world full of pretense and perfection filters, her realness feels like a breath of fresh air. It's not about being flawless, it's about being true. A woman who embodies authenticity in her words understands the weight language carries. She chooses honesty over convenience, even when it's uncomfortable. She knows that truth might not always win her applause, but it always earns respect. She doesn't speak just to fill silence or to appear interesting. She speaks with purpose. Her voice carries intention. Whether she's setting a boundary, expressing love, or sharing an opinion, she does it with sincerity. There's no manipulation behind her words, no hidden agenda, no performance. She's not afraid to say, I don't know, or I was wrong, because she values truth more than image. That kind of honesty is rare, and it's what makes people trust her, because they can feel that she's real, even when her truth isn't easy to hear. Authenticity in her words also means she aligns what she says with how she lives. She doesn't preach values, she doesn't practice. She doesn't make promises she can't keep. When she speaks of kindness, she shows it. When she talks about discipline, she lives it. Her words are backed by action, and that's what gives them power. People sense the difference between words that are rehearsed and words that are rooted. The stunning woman doesn't need fancy language or dramatic delivery to make an impact. Her sincerity does that for her. Her speech has depth because it's connected to her character. You can hear her conviction when she speaks, not from ego, but from clarity. She doesn't talk to impress. She talks to express, to connect, to uplift, to communicate something meaningful. There's also a courage that comes with authenticity in her words. It takes bravery to speak truthfully in a world that rewards conformity. She doesn't twist her opinions to fit the crowd or hide her beliefs to stay comfortable. She's open-minded enough to listen, but grounded enough to stand firm in her perspective. When she speaks, it's never about proving she's right. It's about being real. That honesty can challenge people, but it also inspires them, because authenticity gives permission. When others hear her speak from a place of truth, they feel safe to do the same. She becomes a mirror for others to see their own voice, not the one shaped by fear or expectation, but the one that feels honest and free. The stunning woman's authenticity in her words transforms the way she connects with people. Her conversations carry warmth, depth, and intention. She doesn't flatter for favor or gossip to belong. She'd rather have one meaningful exchange than 100 shallow ones. People remember how she made them feel, understood, respected, seen. Her authenticity doesn't seek attention. It builds connection. There's strength in her calm, clarity in her tone, and truth in her message. Every word she speaks adds to her credibility, not because she's perfect, but because she's real. Her honesty doesn't divide, it defines. And in a world full of noise, her genuine voice cuts through with quiet power that lingers long after she's done speaking. Grace under pressure is what truly reveals the depth of a stunning woman's strength. It's easy to appear composed when life is going well, but grace shows itself when the world feels heavy and uncertain. It's that calm in her spirit when everything around her is chaotic. She doesn't deny her emotions or pretend to be unshaken. She simply refuses to let challenges dictate her character. She breathes before reacting, pauses before speaking, and steadies herself before making decisions. Her calm isn't weakness, it's control. It's the quiet discipline of someone who's learned that panic never fixes anything. When pressure builds, she becomes the anchor, not the storm. People notice that. They sense that strength, that stillness, that unwavering composure that says, I've been through worse, and I'm still standing. The woman who carries grace under pressure understands that strength doesn't always look like fighting. Sometimes it looks like surrendering to what she can't control. She's learned that life isn't about avoiding pain, it's about meeting it with wisdom. When she faces conflict, she doesn't rush to defend herself with anger. She listens, thinks, and responds with intention. She doesn't let temporary emotions create permanent damage. Her reactions are measured because she's emotionally aware. Grace under pressure doesn't mean she never struggles. It means she doesn't let struggle change her essence. She's steady not because life is easy, but because she's built herself to handle difficulty without losing compassion or clarity. That balance is what makes her magnetic, even in hard times. There's something powerful about how she carries herself when life tests her. She doesn't broadcast her pain or make drama her identity. Instead, she moves quietly, processing, learning, and healing without seeking an audience. She knows that silence can be strength, and dignity doesn't need validation. Grace under pressure gives her a glow that no success story can imitate. People might not know what she's been through, but they can feel it. The resilience, the self-control, the peace that comes from surviving storms without becoming one. It's the way she handles disappointment with maturity, the way she forgives without forgetting her worth, the way she keeps her head high even when her heart is heavy. Her composure isn't about pride, it's about peace. She refuses to let life harden her heart or bitterness steal her softness. Grace under pressure also means she knows when to step back, breathe, and realign. She doesn't push herself to the point of breaking just to prove she's strong. She recognizes that grace sometimes means resting instead of reacting, reflecting instead of resisting. She takes time to process her emotions before she speaks or acts, and that's what makes her wisdom stand out. While others may crumble or lash out under pressure, she centers herself. She takes ownership of her feelings, not by suppressing them, but by channeling them productively. That emotional intelligence is her power, the quiet kind that earns respect without ever demanding it. People trust her not because she's unshakable, but because she's grounded enough to handle the shaking. When she moves through life with grace under pressure, she becomes an example of resilience done beautifully. Her presence is steadying. She brings calm to chaos and clarity to confusion. She handles criticism with maturity, failure with humility, and success with gratitude. She doesn't allow stress to turn her cruel or frustration to make her forget her values. She stands tall, but not rigid. She bends when life demands it, but she never breaks. Her grace gives her a strength that doesn't need to be announced. It's felt. People may not always understand how she stays composed through storms, but they admire it. Because that kind of grace isn't taught, it's earned through every moment she chose peace over panic, patience over reaction, and integrity over impulse.